What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Thee CrazyFaceUno Podcast. I'm your host, Shane McNeely. Just a reminder, CrazyFaceUno is inspiring others to do good, make a difference in our local and global community. I am super excited to talk to you and to introduce you to a family member of mine. She's a very special lady. Her name is Kathleen Plothow. Welcome, Kathleen.
Well, hey, Shane. It's good to be talking with you.
Yeah, so she is on the phone. Obviously, since I moved to Florida, we have had to go to more phone podcast style. So, yeah, she's joining me from Peru, Indiana.
Big metropolitan city of, no, it's small. It's a micropolitan. That's like, it's kind of a new phrase for such cities as this. It's a micropolitan city, which is 10,000 to 50,000 people. And even the Census Bureau is using it now. Anyway, so it's I love the city. It's right on the Wabash and everything.
Well, and please jump in here. I'm going to just kind of say a little bit about, you are running for city council currently?
City council at large.
At large, right.
Yeah, made it through the primaries, and all municipal elections throughout the United States are going to be held November 5th, 2019. Get registered to vote, everybody.
Yeah,
Shane,
definitely.
Shane, you get registered to vote.
Yeah, we'll do. I mean, Dana and I were just talking about that yesterday. We've got to get our new licenses and, get all of our cars and vehicles switched over, and so that'll get us registered down here. So
fantastic.
Definitely. Kathleen, you grew up with our crazy family, and man, we talked about it a little bit before we got going, and we're really going to focus in on our family and just kind of talking about different people within our family. And I'm always seeing little pictures and snippets from like your childhood or growing up. And I love seeing those pictures like on Facebook and whatnot. I think it's cool because it gives me a little picture into, I don't know, just my grandparents, my mom, and just that side of the family, which I know a little bit about, but I'm not super knowledgeable about a lot of, the Paul side or my mom's side of the family. So I'm actually really excited about kind of diving into our family. Where were you born?
I was born here in Peru.
In Peru.
1962, yes.
Okay. And your mother is?
Lenore Dean Dameron Plothow. Your grandmother's sister.
The oldest sister.
The oldest child.
The oldest child, yes.
Yes.
So Della Paul, she was on the podcast recently. If you haven't listened to that podcast, go on back, take a listen. And this will make a little bit more sense because that is my grandma, Della, is the second in line. And so I always get confused, Kathleen. How does, we're second cousins? Is that, I never know how to talk about my family.
Your mom and I are first.
Okay.
Your mom and I are first cousins.
Yeah.
I'm going to be wrong on this, and people are going to call me. Anyway, I think we're first cousins once removed, because I'm still a first cousin.
That sounds right. I never know. I honestly, I can't ever figure it out, and you just call us cousin. So
yeah, I just call you cousin. Yeah. I call Dana my cousin.
Yeah.
Cousin.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, we're related that way. On the Dameron side, there's not a lot of cousins. There's many that, some that we're not in touch with or whatnot. But
yeah,
on the Plothow side, I have oodles. Too many.
Yeah, lots of cousins.
Yeah.
So you were born in Peru. I know you just told me that you had moved when you were 8 to
Correct.
Utah.
Yes. My father was wanted to get his doctorate. He grew up as a Mormon, and he wanted to get and raise his family as Mormons. And he wanted to get his doctorate at Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah.
Okay.
So that's how we ended up out west and stayed there I just moved back here 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago. So
Right.
I mean, all your life until 4 years ago.
Yeah. From 8 to, I'm 57 now, so 53-ish, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite memories growing up in the first, 8 years or whatnot? Do you have any memories from those times?
Well, let me tell you this. Okay, so we have an exciting family history, but in my opinion, family could be everything. I mean, I did a family.
Yeah.
And for another time, the dominant religion, kind of ruined that.
Yeah, and I'll plug it here. So we're gonna do a full in-depth conversation with Kathleen about her experience in the Mormon faith and religion and in the Mormon church. So Kathleen, don't feel like you have to skirt around that at all. Talk about the podcast is really just a conversation, and so as the conversation unfolds, if that's the direction we go, that's the direction we go. But we are planning to do a full podcast just dedicated to that, and I'm sure that we can spend oodles amounts of time, regardless of whether we talk about it today or not, about that.
Cults and dogma.
Yes, very much so. I would love to get into that conversation with you. Of all people that I would like to have that conversation with,
Okay. So part of the religion is they do a lot of family history, a lot of genealogy. So the reason that our family, your mom, my mom, and my grandparents, your great grandparents, ended up in Indiana. Well, so your great grandma Gutman, and her family in 1884. They were in the southern part of Germany. They somehow got up to the port of Hamburg.
Okay.
Got on a ship. There were 7 kids. Got on a ship called the Westphalia. Came into Ellis Island. Ended up in Kansas, and then settled in Louisville, Kentucky.
Gosh, that's so fascinating. See, this is I had no idea about. I know that we have very strong German roots, but that's interesting.
Yes, in fact, you would be, Martin Luther, you know who he is?
Yep.
Is in your mom's 14th, wait a minute, is that anyway, I don't know about yours, but Martin Luther is my 14th great grandpa.
Wow. That's crazy.
Okay, that's on the Plothow side.
Yeah. But still, I mean, it's in
the Gutman side, this is how it's connected. The Gutman side.
I didn't even know that the Gutmans existed.
Yeah, that's your great grandmother.
Wow. Okay. Fascinating.
Yeah, her name is Louise Catherine or Catherine Louise.
Louise.
And I think, Catherine Louise. There was a Louise Catherine was the baby.
That's so cool.
So I guess after 7 kids, they ran out of names. Anyway, and she just, I know, I'm stupid. Okay, so anyway, the Gutmans, many years, generations back, attended the same church where the Martin Luther penned wrote on the side of the church or the door or something. Yeah. Okay, so my 14th great grandfather was Martin Luther, and the other side of the family attended church there.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Wow.
Anyways, yeah, I know, crazy.
Yeah. Have you ever done the 23andMe or the Ancestry.com?
Ancestry.com, yeah, because my brother did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to do one of those. I just haven't done it. I mean, I think it'd be really interesting. I know they each are kind of a little different, aren't they?
Yeah. Answers.com is located in Provo, Utah, so I'm a little close to that.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's also
which kind of makes sense with the Mormon church being there. Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Right. So, and BYU, Brigham Young University in Provo, is the largest genealogical library in the world. So,
wow.
I had a lot of opportunities to do some great research there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So anyway, Kansas, and then they moved to where? Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
Now, there's a whole bunch of Gutmans in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
For some reason, your great-great-grandmother settled in the hills. She became a nurse, settled in the hills. Her husband was a worker, before they were married, was a worker in a coal mine in Virginia.
Okay.
He was having eye problems, and the doctor put the wrong medication in his eyes and caused him to become blind.
Whoa.
So, but thank goodness, because then that caused him to move back home to the same area where our great-great was.
Yeah.
And they married. And proceeded to have your great-grandma, my grandma, and Aunt Bobby, who is Grandma's sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So, yeah. So it just goes from there. But she and Grandma and Grandpa were looking for work. Dameron.
Yep.
And, Grandma was living in the hills. Grandpa came. He was working for the highway company.
Okay.
And was building a road there. And he and Grandmother found each other, and here we are. So, and they were looking for further work, and he and his brother, Grandpa Dameron's brother, first went to Pennsylvania, took the family, and then ended up in thriving Gilead, Indiana.
Good old Gilead.
Yeah, but that's where, I mean, like your mom was my very first friend, because
sure,
because I spent so much time at Grandma Dameron and Grandpa Dameron's house.
Yeah.
We'd sit on the back porch, and it'd be me and Diane and your mom and my mother and even Kathy sometimes, and we'd sit back there with Grandma, and they had an exquisite garden, and we just snap peas or string beans.
Sure.
That I can even smell the back, sitting there and feel the humidity, and
yeah.
So and those are some of the best times of my life, and walking from Grandma's house to your grandmother's house. And,
right. Yeah, just up the road there.
Yeah.
If anybody out there's listened to the DeLaPaul podcast, and my mom's podcast, Diane Engel, who Kathleen just referenced as well. I believe they both talked about it. There's this little hill from my grandma's house up to her mom or her parents' house, and it'd be up the hill. Just go up the hill, and they're in Little Gilead. Put it in perspective, the town is. I know Grandma said at one time there might have been 50 or so people, but I feel like I had heard at one, and it may have grown since then. I know the Amish families are larger, and so I'm sure that's added to the population. But I remember when I was, I believe, either senior in high school or freshman in college area, 18, 19, I remember a number like 35 or 33 people. So, I mean, we're splitting hairs here, but it's just to put it in perspective, it's very small town. Yeah, and it's crazy. So, Peru, did you say, how big is Peru?
I think you said just over, it's about 11,300 something.
11,300.
Yeah.
Which this part of Indiana is interesting to me because it's just a lot of little small towns. I mean, Indiana in general is kind of that way.
Correct. Well, northern especially.
Yeah.
But once you get outside the Indianapolis metropolitan area,
yeah,
it's very much so that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very.
Even people picture Notre Dame, the Notre Dame area, South Bend is huge, but it's really not.
No, it's not.
The more you go north, you just bleed into Chicago.
Yep, it's true. So, yeah, it's like a runoff from Chicago, but.
Yeah.
So, back to family. Yeah, I have some of those same memories. I mean, grandma's house, whether it was her, I mean, my grandma. What is my grandma to you?
Everything.
Is it Aunt Della for you?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah, I'm going to cry here.
It's okay.
My mother, in her teenage years, she contracted tuberculosis. Mm-hmm. And she was really embarrassed about it because people at the time, it came from homes that were dirty. And my grandmother, your great-grandmother, if you recall that, she wouldn't have, her home was exceptionally clean.
Yeah.
And great-grandma and great-grandpa lived with them for a while. Well, when my mom was little, tiny in Kentucky, they think that she suspected that she may have got it from great-grandpa.
Gotcha.
So, because he had some real breathing issues and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But it was basically never talked about. But so my mom was in the Irene Byring Institute. It's a tuberculosis center. And if you look up Irene Byring,
yeah,
it's a great story. Anyway, so Mom had to go to that place her junior, maybe even her senior year. It was about 15 months, I think. And your mom, and anyway, so they tried, back then they did everything they could to cure tuberculosis and ended up cutting out half of her left lung.
Wow.
And wherever the knife touched, they weren't as careful as they should have. Her lungs began to harden. So, and her last few years were very difficult, and she had pulmonary fibrosis, which is a horrible disease. And
painful?
Yes, very painful. Yeah. Well, not as much painful as just scary.
Okay.
Because she couldn't catch her breath and that kind of thing. But and so Thanksgiving Day of 2007, she had been to the doctor a time or two, and the day previous, and then that morning, and I was fixing Thanksgiving dinner for her and Dad, and she fell and hit her head on the bathtub, and we think maybe she had a heart attack or something.
Sure.
So, but she died within 15-20 minutes, and I was right there with her, which is an honor because I was kind of having to be strong for my dad who was falling apart. But to be there when your mom passes, it's like that's something else.
Yeah, so, I was there when my grandma on my dad's side, Edith McNeely, passed away. And, I describe it as an honor as well. It's one of the hardest things I've experienced. It's really hard to watch someone you love take their last breath. But it's an honor. It really is. I think that to be there, to the end, I think there's something special about that. And I wouldn't change things for the world, but I would be lying if I didn't say it still is hard,
Right.
So I'm right there. I can understand. I can't imagine what that experience was like to I at least kind of knew things were going that direction. But to be surprised and caught off guard, I guess, would be really hard.
Yeah. But Shane, the thing is my mom, it was kind of, my dad considers it the angels spared her because she was such a kind, beautiful woman, did a lot for others. And and she would have died suffocating in a bed.
Yeah.
Because she was
Right.
slowly getting that way. And
Yeah.
so it was, so your grandmother, she, since I moved back here the last 4 years, she's my the next closest thing to mom I can have.
Yeah.
She's so fun, and we giggle and laugh, and we're on the phone. I don't get to see her as much.
Yeah.
Because I can't drive. This
Yeah.
is another part, but I haven't had epilepsy. I haven't had a seizure for almost 4.5. I've had it 4.5 months, and so I can maybe get my license in January,
congrats.
February.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I hope that
Thanks.
continues. Do you mind just touching on where some of those seizures come from, or what that stems from?
Okay, yeah, sure. Anyway, when I was 24 years old,
Yeah.
I lost hearing in my left ear.
Okay.
And I'd had, long story short, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. When they did the brain surgery, January '89, it was diagnosed as an astrocytoma, which is a rare, at the time it was very rare.
Yeah.
And back in '89, they could not take it all out. The astrocytoma has a body and fingers that go into the brain. They've figured out ways to do it better, but it's still pretty rare.
Yeah.
And so I went through radiation treatment, and the third or fourth week into radiation, my brain started to swell. And then I started I'd fall asleep and then wake up 45 minutes later and couldn't go back to sleep. I'd try everything.
Yeah.
I mean, NyQuil, and I'd even start drinking at night to try and put my brain to sleep.
Yeah.
And whatnot. 2 weeks later, I finally told my oncologist, and he looked at my eyes and said my brain was swelling and that it was epilepsy, and
Wow.
then the whole thing started. So
Yeah, I'm sure at that point in time you were desperate to sleep under. It didn't matter how you got there, just to sleep.
Exactly. So
Wow.
So there's times that I've been on 5 different medications at once.
Yeah.
30 to 50 pills, but the best thing, I'm just going to say this, the best thing out there, in my opinion, is cannabis oil.
Yeah.
Not CBD,
Yeah.
although that helps, but I think cannabis oil is,
Yeah.
the best thing.
That's awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
I think that there's a lot of, you see more and more states legalizing cannabis, and medically and recreationally, but I think that the more and more we see the legalization of cannabis in the United States, I think the more research, the more that we're going to find out some of the truths and some of what that is going to be beneficial for and help us and help people. I mean, it's no real surprise, or it shouldn't be any real shock to anybody at this point in time. So if you're listening and you're surprised, do a little research.
Yeah.
Google something, or just listen to anybody that is out there, because there's a lot of information out there about just some of the health benefits. I mean, there's obviously people doing it recreationally as well, and whether you agree with that or not, it's beyond the point. But I think that the more we can learn about just in general, just things that are going to help people, I don't see why we shouldn't be able to do that. And I think legalizing and some of the legalization that we've seen is really going to benefit a lot of people. So that's really cool.
I agree. And, I people will judge me, and
Yeah.
that's why I kind of keep it kind of quiet. I don't take that anymore.
Yeah.
But
There's just stigmas around it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of baggage that goes along with the words like marijuana and cannabis and weed and whatever you want to call it. There's just a lot of stigmas and a lot of baggage that comes along with it. And I think as time goes on, like anything, time has a way of kind of washing things clean. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Until somebody has shaken through the night, or been mornings or through the day just felt like your body's falling apart from the inside out. And
Yeah.
Taking 50 pills a day, ruining, my part of my teeth are ruined because of Dilantin. And
Yeah.
I mean, just until you've been there,
Right.
don't.
Yep.
Don't,
Yeah.
just don't
Take a step back.
judge me.
And yeah.
You can judge me, but shame on you. I hate to say
That's
that,
right.
but,
People can, but I agree with you. Shame on them. So, yeah. Well, I mean, thanks for sharing that little part of, your life. I know that that's a big part of your life. That's whether you wanted it to be or not. It's something that probably you think about every single day. So.
I do. I still do.
Yep.
Because I just take one pill a night now, and
That's so good.
And it's caused some brain damage a little bit. But,
Sure.
But I'm learning. I've learned to move past that and to keep training my brain to grow and take over better space. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're welcome. If I can help somebody, it's. I know it sounds stupid, but it really has. Without cancer, without what's going through, when I, went through with Mormons and family and stuff, I wouldn't be right here, right now, doing as well as I am.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear.
I've never felt more free or happy. So
that's awesome. I'm really happy. I know it's been a rough couple years, especially for you, and so it's really good to hear you doing so well and living your best life in some ways. So that's awesome.
Well, and now like today I made cookies.
Yeah.
And for friends who have been just helping me, I put some cookie dough away thinking that if somebody comes to visit, I can just whip out some cookies. But I kept thinking of people that I needed to pay forward.
Yeah.
To say thank you.
Yeah.
For it's all about, my life is about, serving, if I can't, that's why, anyway, there's so much I could say about that.
Go for it.
If we're not helping others, why are we here? If I'm, I'm not going to get religious at all, but I feel like we're called to do for others, to serve and to lift the burdens of others.
Yeah.
And
I think I think it's also just very much a part of our family. The more I continue to, I've on my trip down to Florida, I stopped and saw my mom for a couple days, and I saw my dad for a couple days, and I've got to talk with a lot of people, in the just family, I guess, or just talk to them, my mom and my dad, and it's been really good to mature myself, and to just start to understand and to start to see things through a different lens in some ways. But talking with Grandma on the podcast and just how much of a caregiver she's always been. She's always taken care of people. She's always cared about people. And I know that didn't just start with her. I know that that's part of just our family, from Aunt Kathy, who she's an amazing lady. She's taken care of people in our family for a really long time, for her entire life. And I think that's beautiful. To your heart, I mean, you have one of the biggest hearts I know, and you're such a giving and pay it forward type of woman, and I love that. I'm inspired by my family, and I know that blood is running through me, and it's very much a part of who I am. And I've always, for as long as I can remember, that's what I've wanted to do, is help people. And I see that come from our family, and it's really cool to see, and it's really important. And I love that. So thank you for the part that you play in our family, and the part that you continually inspire me, whether you know it or not, but you do. You are a great inspiration of giving and loving, and just perspective sometimes, and it's beautiful. So thank you.
Oh, Shane, you're my guy. I mean, you're my guy. we can maybe not talk for months, and sometimes, we haven't, and then pick up, and it's just like, with you and Dad, it's just like, that's when it's family. That's when you got a friend and your cousin.
Yeah, there's
a best friend.
There was for sure, between you, me, and Dana, we really bonded and connected really well with you. In the last, I know it's crazy because the first time I really remember meeting you was
Grandma's birthday.
Yeah, Grandma. That's what it was.
Yeah, Grandma's birthday, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I was home. I think I was home for my 10-year class reunion.
That's right.
In high school, and Mom had thrown a little get together for Grandma, which was I was home, Grandma's birthday, all this, and so a lot of family, a lot of friends who were in town, and you were just this like happy-go-lucky, just bopping around like, "Hey, cousin," and I'm like, "Who is this lady?" Like, I have no idea who this lady, and I was kind of put off. I'm not gonna lie. And then Dana and I were talking on the way home, or whenever, however we were. I don't know if we drove or flew, but she was like, "Who's that one lady?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like, I have no idea who she is." Like, I remember asking Mom and kind of got a little bit of information. And then the next time we had met, we actually got to have a conversation, and we actually got to like talk. And from that point forward, there's always been this bond, this connection, and I've always just felt so free to talk to you. And which, if you know me, if you've ever met me, like, I'm pretty free to talk to a lot of people, and if you ask me point blank, there's not a whole lot I'm going to tell you. Like, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm pretty much an open book, so have fun with that. But like, it's different with you, where I just feel very much like I don't have to be somebody I'm not, or I've always just very much felt like I could just be myself and talk open and freely and not feel, I don't know if it's judgment, but not feel any, like, I don't know what the word is, but I just never felt uncomfortable. I always felt very comfortable just talking to you, and that's really special to me. So,
well, remember, I don't know if you remember when we were around. Well, no, you will, but when we were around the table, and we started talking about one of the greatest faults we have as family is that we overthink, and we want to fix things before we fix ourselves. Fix people, fix situations. Yeah. And we're a little bit full of anxiety. I've mellowed out in the last couple of years quite a bit, and going into politics, if you're not a little bit more mellow, you're going to make yourself crazy, and others.
Yeah.
Because it's not about me, it's about we the people, so
yeah.
For another day. Anyway, but and since I started calling you Lancelot, in fact, when you called today, it came up Lancelot. So, because you're on your white horse, your knight, and you're out to slay dragons.
Yeah.
And Dana's very much the same way, but as cousins, me, you, and your mom, and Aunt Della, your grandmother.
Yeah.
Do that as we cause ourselves an enormous amount of anxiety by wanting to resolve and fix things.
Yeah.
And
I think it's almost where I find purpose is fixing
Correct.
things. Like, I find an enormous amount of like value in like being that person for people. And
right.
I think that's really been a struggle in the last several years, and maybe that's brought some of my anxiety out and really to surface in some ways, where I'm not necessarily always fixing something, and I want to be able to help people. Like, that's really CrazyFaceUno has been awesome, an awesome outlet for me with that. I've got dreams and ambitions with that for sure, and hopefully those can take root and grow and produce some fruit in the future. But yeah, I very much feel that I find some purpose and value in that fixing and helping and
being that knight in shining armor on that horse, and Slaying, no, but I mean, I'm talking,
Yeah.
in other terms, but slaying dragons.
Yeah.
If we're not up every day wanting to slay some kind of dragon, whether it's for somebody else or for ourselves, I think we need to work on ourselves as we're slaying dragons for other people.
Yeah.
But if we're not purpose driven and acting intentionally,
Yep.
then we can be blown about by the wind.
Yeah.
And
how do you?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, how do you think we find that? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I've asked you. I've asked other people. As a previous therapist, this was one of the things I did was, ask what 3 things are your passion? Is it, outside of God or family, because everybody else, can say that.
Yeah,
or,
it's almost a cop-out answer.
It's a cop-out, so you look into you,
yeah.
And is it, you are not what you do, because if you are what you do, when you don't, you aren't. Meaning,
one more time. Say that one more time.
Okay, you are not what you do, because if you are what you do, when you don't, you aren't. Yeah, I'm not. My identity is not a city council member.
Yeah.
My identity is not, whatever I do.
Yeah.
It's because if that's all I am, when I'm not at the office, potentially, then I'm nothing.
Yeah.
So who am I? What do I want to be? I want to be seen as somebody, where there's a soft place to land. I want to be that. I want to be a person of integrity, of character.
Yeah.
I am, bottom line, what am I? I'm part of humanity. I believe I'm a child of God. I'm somebody that wants to be a boy, in the rough storm. That's who I am.
Yeah.
I am not what I do.
Yeah, which is hard for some people to like remove themselves from that in some ways, because it very much, if you don't, here's the thing I think that goes along with this, especially if you don't know who you are, it's easy to think that is who you are, is like what you do.
Correct.
Go
ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's just this like exploration, or this like, people hit rock bottom. I think in some ways, some of my, struggles and it has been with that, of trying to figure out, I think for the last 7 years now, I think that's really been my mission, is to figure out who I am. And I don't know if I exactly know. I know a lot of things that I am, but I don't know if I know who I am. But that's really got my mind thinking. I'm gonna be thinking on that one for a while. This is why you're so great, because you always get my brain a going. So.
No, I have a lot of life experience, and getting a education in clinical psychology at the University of Utah has been helped so much. But the thing is you and Dana are right now in a perfect place,
right,
to fight, because your life is a conglomerate of changes,
right,
and
but all the extra like baggage and the noise that can go along with your day to day, when you're comfortable and when you're in this, place of comfort, I guess. You get in these routines, and you get in these, just the repetitiveness of life sometimes.
Right.
And so then it doesn't force you to think about those things, and you just go along with what is the norm. And I agree with you, because this forces us both to, in a lot of ways, figure out who we are, and what that means, whether it's, for me, it's figuring out what the next direction of my life is, of money to a job to, you know, what I'm going to contribute to society and how I'm going to do that. And then even just personally on between her and I, one of the biggest things, and I knew this was going to be a struggle of mine, I didn't realize it was going to come in just outside of week 1, was the loneliness and the isolation, and, you know, some of that. I'm starting to feel that. And it's, you know, we had a little conversation before we got going, but it's sometimes I get really overwhelmed with the fact that if I leave my place right now, my apartment, the apartment now is comfort. It's your ollie oxen free. Yeah, it's safety.
When you're playing hide and seek, you get back to your ollie oxen free.
Yeah, absolutely. And so to get out, to leave, to go outside of this apartment forces me to be challenged, and to everything's new. Everything you experience.
Everything's an adventure.
Yeah.
Shane.
Yeah.
Everything's an adventure. It's a grand adventure. Every day of your life right now, in Dana, except for her, you know, she has the stability of a workplace.
Yeah.
But everything, especially for you, is a grand adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you get to Walmart? That's kind of an interesting.
Yeah. Well, I was just telling you, we go out of our apartment complex, and left turns are like few and far between in the state of Florida so far that we've experienced. So we have to take a right because the Walmart is literally like next door to our left. But if we're gonna drive, it's like a little far to walk, especially if you're going to get a bunch of groceries. So if you're going to drive, you have to go out, take a right, hit a U-turn, go down the road, take another U-turn, and then turn right into the Walmart. It's just bogus. It's crazy. But that's the process you got to go through if you want to go to the Walmart. So it's just interesting. Yeah, and all of those things are so brand new. And going from shopping at a Walmart, I mean, in Minnesota and in St. Paul and Minneapolis, like, there's only a couple Walmarts in the Twin Cities. It's Target heavy. You know, you go to Target, you go to your local grocery store. Here it's a different name. It's called Publix instead of Cub. And it's all the new things, but.
Well, you know, you take that with excitement.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go on a grand adventure every day.
Yeah.
You know, mark it off. Make a list. You know, I'm doing right now a 35-day challenge. I put it on Facebook where I'm going, excuse me, going somewhere new within Miami County, or doing something new. 35 things in 35 days. New things in Miami County I've never done before.
Yeah.
Some days I have to do 2 or 3 of them, you know, but
how has that been? What's your experience been with that?
It's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been really exciting. One day I went to 9 businesses and spent money at 5 because as a small city, we don't have like a Walmart, a Kmart.
Right.
Just like throughout the rest of the nation has gone belly up, and so we lost that. But so I'm promoting Shop Local, you know, and it's just exciting. It's fun, you know. So you get out and find out what's available, and then on the weekends find a festival, find something, car show, anything, just stupid stuff that maybe you've never done before.
Yeah, we're actually going this Saturday. I'm kind of excited about it. We talked about it on our podcast between Dana and I, but we bought this. There's on Airbnb, there's these things called experiences, and I don't think they're limited to like certain geographical locations, or I don't know how they figure that out. But Florida is apparently one of the states that they have these, and so there's a lady that cooks like Caribbean dishes out of her home. Wow. And so she brings people in, you pay a certain amount per person, and you have this like 4 or 5 different types of like food and drinks and whatnot. So we're super pumped about that. So that'll be fun.
How fun.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be fun for sure.
Every so often I order off of Amazon or someplace else subscription boxes.
Oh, yeah.
Foods I've never tried.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Well,
last
did
time
you ever get I know you were looking for that one fruit.
Finger.
Yeah, the fingerling.
Limes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you
They're
find
wonderful.
them? Yeah.
Somebody ordered them and got them for me. So that's the glory of social media. You know,
Yeah.
you say I want to try this. Somebody says, okay, I'll get it for you.
Right.
You know, I've got great friends. I've got wonderful friends. So, but when I was in Fishers, we went to a fresh market, and I got 5 different kind of cookies that we've never had.
That's so cool.
And me and my 2 friends tried them and stuff. So anyway, yeah, just adventuring is the best.
It is. And I think it's important.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think it's important too.
Yeah. It grows you.
Yeah.
It keeps you changing. And, you know, I think, Shane, honestly, I think having epilepsy and cancer and still kind of unsure about my future, I kind of am in a panic. I want to try and do everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so.
I could see, you know, I could see that. But you are like, you're just living. And I think that's so cool. Like, it's honestly, like, it's challenging and inspiring. Like, it really is I don't want to just stay in my apartment every day, you know? Like, I want to go out and I want to experience new things and I want to do new things. And I don't know why I don't sometimes, you know? Some of it's been just unpacking and there's plenty of things to do here, but that can also turn into an excuse, very quickly. But yeah, that's why I've said, like, you really have inspired me to do more. I see you doing these challenges or doing different things on social media or when we chat, you know, kind of talking about life, and it's admirable. It's awesome. It's really cool. And whether it's because of your uncertainty with your future or not, it's awesome. And it's really cool. And I, you know, you hear all sorts of stories about, you know, when older people, and asking them, what would you tell, you know, younger people? And it's always around the same things, you know, go and do things and experience the world, and don't let money get in the way, and you know, don't work too much, and take care of your family. And you hear the same, there's common themes. And I think that I really try to hold on to those things and to make those things reality. It's hard. It's really hard, but I think those things.
And let me bottom line my philosophy for you a little bit about, you know, some days, majority of days are just days. You know, some days they just suck. They just, you know, either people provide so much suckage that, you know, you can hardly breathe, or it's just, you know, a bad day.
Yeah.
Whenever you wake up, you know, and but every so often, you know, and I'm getting them more and more as I venture out to the world, because I've had social anxiety and afraid to get out, and that's kind of been remedied, especially recently, but it's still hard some days to get out. Once I'm out, I'm wonderful. I'm good. I can do whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, so some days, you know, you're riding along life, and you experience a wow. I mean, just like you're at the top of that roller coaster, and the view is just like so cool, and you have this wow.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why when I go down to Indy with these 2 friends of mine that used to live here, you know, we do wow things. We go walk around. I mean, it's just silly stuff. Not a lot of money spent, but we went into this amazing wine alcohol store, and it was just like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And it's just, it wasn't the store, but I was experiencing this with my friends.
Right.
And so then I ride that wow, those 3 or 4 days of wow, for a while, you know, and it carries me through until the next wow.
Sure.
But life just is hard.
Yeah,
It's, you know, but it's simple.
It is.
We make it hard.
We do.
But when you get those wows, man, you gotta. That's why I love the word. I always use the hashtag making memories.
Sure.
Because that's priceless to me.
Yeah.
So life is hard, but and there's suckage out there, and but those wows, gosh dang.
Yeah. Well, they're important. Like, they're important to experience, and those challenges for sure. We went down. Go ahead.
I'm going to challenge you for something.
Yeah.
I don't care how big or small it is.
Okay.
And from now till next week, do 5 new things.
Now, I'm writing it down. Now until next week.
Starting tomorrow, a week from Friday, do 5 new things. Or if you want to, try and do 1 new thing every day, whether it's walking, or whether it's making something for your neighbor in the condos, just saying, hey, we're here, whether it's, whatever.
Yeah. All right, deal. Okay. And I'm going to hold myself accountable. I will share those on social media. So maybe I'll do as like my story, or I don't know. Maybe I'll just post them on Instagram and share them on all the different social media things. But I will hold myself accountable for those. So perfect.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you for that challenge.
Yeah. You're welcome.
We went down this little path here because we were talking about our family being caregivers and just taking care of people. You mentioned it with my grandma Della, and kind of, just our family in general. What other things would you say that you look at our family and see as things that just kind of are passed down, or just very much a part of who our family is?
The ability to laugh.
Ability to laugh.
The ability to laugh is enormously important. To have fun, a sense of play, a sense of joy.
Yeah.
It's just when I'm with your grandmother, oh my goodness. It's just like we just have these little sayings or looks, and it's just, and our family all does it.
Yeah.
And the more, it's just the ability to laugh.
Yeah.
Whether it's, I remember, maybe it's right after grandmother died, I'm not quite sure, but we were out to eat somewhere, and it was in the bottom floor. It was like 2 floors up to the parking area. And we were about to go into an elevator, knowing that your grandmother is so claustrophobic.
Yeah, very much.
Crazy claustrophobic.
Uh-huh.
And we sat there and laughed, and half the women nearly peed their pants before we finally let your grandmother, walk up the stairs. It's just, there are so many times that I've been with, your mom, your grandmother, my mom, Kathy, grandma, all of us together, where 3/4 of the people are peeing their pants from laughter. It's just,
it's so true.
Yeah.
My dad and I were talking about a story about my grandma too, and we both have similar stories, but she always had an uncanny ability to make people laugh at funerals.
My. Yeah.
Or
in serious places.
Yeah, in serious places where you couldn't laugh. And just her uncanny ability to make people laugh in those moments when you shouldn't necessarily, isn't socially acceptable to laugh.
See, that was my mom, because once the grandkids started coming along, we'd be standing around saying prayer or something with everybody, 20 people.
Yeah.
Mormons, anyway, and her thing, it'd make my brothers mad, my dad so mad, but would get the grandkids to start laughing during prayer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was just, so it was silliness and crazy, and and then I would just die laughing.
Yeah,
And, then mom, after having 5 kids, would cross her legs and say, I gotta go to the bathroom. So, but that's just, yeah, the whole family's like that. So,
Yeah, we really have been.
yeah.
What else? Is there anything else you could think of? So caring, loving others, or helping others. I don't know how to like put that into words, but and then laughter. I would agree. I think that we've always, grandma, mom, you, just everybody in our family's got great laughs.
Right.
Yeah.
And we don't hold back. I mean,
Nope.
we just baha, you know.
Yeah.
But, well, you know, the thing that, you know, comes with great joy comes great tenderness.
Yeah.
And so, you know, sometimes I have a difficult time going out in public around the holidays because I see people who are, you know, and your grandma's like this as well. See people who are in need, and I just want to fix everything.
Yeah.
It's genetics, you know, like what we were talking about before. And to see somebody in need or an animal hurt or something of that nature, it's pretty difficult. And so when you have great joy, you also have great tenderness.
Yeah, we're feelers. We feel things very much.
Right.
Very
Right.
empathetic. Very, feelers. I was journaling a little bit the other day. One of my like favorite things to do in my spare time, or like before bed, is to watch like the like talent videos, like America's Got Talent, Global Talent, whatever those things are. Honestly, it's whichever one has Simon Cowell in it. As long as he's in it, I don't really care. I just think he's a really good man, actually. I know he's very blunt and honest with some people, but I like the success stories. When you see these people, I probably cried every day this week because I've watched these videos a lot. But I watch these videos, and to see people's dreams come true, you know, people have put so much of their time, their life, their energy, or have these special moments that they've shared with loved ones that have passed away, and finally they're like doing what they've asked them to do or told them they should. But watching people's dreams come true, nothing will touch my heart and make me sob like a baby than watching people's dreams come true. And I feel that, I see that, and for me, that is something that is a goal of mine, is one of the goals that is going to be incorporated into the future of CrazyFaceUno is, you know, whether it's inspiring others to do good and make a difference, but I think that making people's dreams come true falls and fits underneath those two things. And that's something that I really want to do. And unfortunately, right now, everything, you know, financially, that's not an option, but that's going to be a goal I'm going to work towards with this project that I have. And so all of you out there, if you know any people that would like to contribute or be sponsored by CrazyFaceUno or sponsor CrazyFaceUno, let me know, because I've got big ideas and some big dreams, and I've got to get to work and put in some of those some of the background and the backside stuff. But that's a dream, that's a hope. So so it's just funny that you had mentioned that, because I feel like that's very much something that I am.
Sounds like you want to create those golden buzzer moments, and
in some ways. I mean, or it's even the, you know, seeing people in need on the holidays or whatever it is, you know, it's those moments where I just, the surprise, the shock, I want to see people. A couple of the buzzwords that have come out with talking with friends in the last, you know, month or so has been with CrazyFaceUno is positivity, and being positive, because there's so much shit in this world and so much shit that gets thrown in our face every single day, that I don't want to be a part of it. I've got enough of my own shit that I'm dealing with that I don't need other people's put on to me. And so I want to give positivity. I want things to be positive. I want to help someone. I want to tell a story. I want to have a conversation with the people that I care about and love, and whoever the people that I choose to have conversation with. And I want that conversation to lead to something positive, to something good, and to be uplifting to someone. And I would love that. So yeah, I mean, I want to create those. Well, thank you.
You're on your way with that.
Thank you.
And I'm very proud of you because you've taken this giant leap. It's a risk.
Yeah.
Because you could fall on your face, but at this point you're not. And
yeah.
And I don't think that you will, because you have that passion, you have that drive, and you have desire.
Thank you.
So, and that energy that you have, oh my goodness, if you could bottle that, put it in a pill.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't know. It's really good for me to hear those things, and so thank you. I do get discouraged, and sometimes it's my own lack of direction. I don't know where things are headed sometimes, and my life has been a little bit of a whirlwind in the last month, and so it's been hard for me to really dedicate the time that's needed to this to really see it flourish the way I want it to. And so it's always taking a deep breath and blowing that BS out and just moving on and keep on chugging along. And I mean, it's simply this conversation that we're having. I've reached out to several people, and sometimes because of this last week and couple weeks, I haven't been very diligent about setting up my podcasts and planning things out. And I've started to get a little bit better at that. I've started reaching out to people and kind of laying the groundwork for the next, month a little bit. But you are someone that I've wanted to have a conversation with. I really focused in the beginning on people that were in my geological location in St. Paul, Minnesota, and that I could do in-person conversations with, because I knew that there was going to be this time that I was going to have a big bunch of time that I needed. That I was going to be on the phone, and you're one of the people at the top of my list that I was looking at, and I'm very happy to have you on here today. I didn't know who I was going to have on for tomorrow and for Friday, and it was I was happy that we were able to make things work, so thank you.
I love you, Shane. You're my guy, and you're one of the people I love to chat with, and we both inspire each other, I think, so.
Yeah.
It's crazy enough, we think a little bit alike, so.
We do. We're a lot more alike than we ever knew, so that's a good thing.
But it's an honor that you trusted me enough to do this, so thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to end things quite yet, if that's okay with you.
Oh, that's fine, yeah.
I would love to maybe just pick your brain a little bit more about our family, and maybe just tell a few more stories, and we'll go from there.
Let's see. Well, I remember, gosh, your mom and I must have been, I don't know, small enough to see. Your grandma's house has changed a little bit. She's got that back room on, but there are these kind of concrete stairs going down the back side. Yeah, and with the little back porch area before they built it on. Yep. So your mom and I were small enough to both sit on the stairs, and your Aunt Della had given us things to make mud pies, and we were just making them, and and Diane and I talk about, your mom and I talk about this quite often and joke about it, and just Grandma, I remember her opening up the door, just laughing and checking on us, and we were just serious as can be, just two little cousins, best friends, making mud pies. But when our family would come back for holidays or summer or something, we'd stay up, at Grandma's house, and I always had the intention, I wanted to sleep with Diane and at their house, which was just not even a quarter of a mile away. Yeah, pretty close by. Just up the hill. And, and I'd get so quiet, and I'd get scared, and either my mom or Dad would come and get me from Grandma and Grandpa's house to your house, to Della's house, and take me back to Grandma's house or whatever. But I mean, Della was just teasing me about that the other day, so
Yeah.
I was just always so scared. So, but anyway, yeah. But I've never married and never had kids. But
Yeah.
your grandma told me this a couple of years ago. I didn't know. She said that one time we were visiting from Utah, and we were walking from Della's house to Grandma's house. Me, Diane, my mom, and Della. And Diane was talking about, when I get married and talking and stuff. And I said, I'm never getting married. If you know much about the Mormon culture,
Yeah.
that's expected.
Yep.
And to have large families. Well, so I said, 10, 11, 12 years old, I'm never getting married.
Yeah.
And I guess my mom said, oh, yes, you are. And Della started laughing and saying, well, she doesn't have to, does she?
That sounds just like her.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So apparently, I've been engaged a couple times, but just never, I just have such a good, I've flown all over the country and Alaska by myself. I went up to Alaska by myself one time and Florida by myself and, LA and just go and do and play and have a good old time. But,
what do you think, what do you think that like your, just being single or, not being married growing up, what do you think that has allowed you to do? I know you kind of mentioned that you've gone and done these things, but what has that freedom allowed you to do that maybe you wouldn't have been able to do? Obviously, there's a few little pieces with the Mormon Church in that part of your life at that time. But like, what do you think that has allowed you to do by not being married?
Well, so let's go back to the religion part for a moment.
Sure.
So the Mormon Church, is very patriarchal and family, based, and some of this is very good, but much of it is not. In my opinion, it's fundamentally based on falsehood and has become one of the largest cults in the world, and brings in excess of $32 billion a year.
Wow.
So then their portfolio is stocked in Coca-Cola. Anyway.
Wow.
Pharmaceutical companies and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But so when you go to church, sit with your family, and then when you turn 18, in Utah in the West, they have these, they may still have what's called singles wards, where young men and women, go to the same church, and it's a congregation, and they have a bishop and everything like that, same structure. But if you're still single at 27, you have to go back to your home ward or a family-based ward. A ward is a congregation.
Okay.
So, so I remember sitting in this congregation and watching this one gal. I can't remember her name. Anyway, she was so depressed, and I just watching her get up and move and teach and whatnot. She was so depressed because she wasn't married, and she found her power and her confidence in being married. And she thinks that's where it lied, her self-worth in being married, to having somebody say that you're valued because I choose you. So I sat there and I said, if I'm not married by 25, I'm moving on.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting around waiting for anybody.
Yeah.
I got my education, 2 or 3 degrees. It taught me independence, but that's a blessing and a curse too, Shane.
Yeah.
Because, when you have so much independence, it's hard to let people in.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
It creates you're not dependent on anyone, and that can come across for other people as not being needed or worth or value, and I can see how that can have an effect.
Right. So it gave me a lot of opportunities, but to go and do whatever I wanted. But there's also some things missing, because when I did leave the church, had I had children,
Yeah.
I would not have been as let go as easily or shunned as easily. So because that's it's easier to shun a sister or something who does not have an emotional you don't have a little ones or younger people to join in. So but I wouldn't change that. But it allowed me to get in a little bit of trouble too.
Sure.
So although I had some great times, then sometimes when you're not doing so well, you tend to not look after yourself. And so I was injured on the job at Sam's Club, and I was working 2 full-time jobs at the time, and I was near Salt Lake City, and something crushed my hand, and a 50-pound box of ice melt crushed my hand, and it turned into a nerve disease. And I run, and I had to end up going to Denver for surgeries and whatnot. But the doctor in Salt Lake put me on multiple narcotics at once, like 12, 13 narcotics, even a fentanyl patch, methadone, that kind of thing. Yikes. And I never abused it. I took it how I was supposed to, but there were places within the family I was not welcome, because I was out of it. Right. And so even coming back on vacation, your grandmother wanted to check with my sister to make sure that I really was doing better. Yeah. And so those kind of things are a little bit embarrassing, because had I had a spouse or somebody, maybe they would have helped me get away from that. Yeah. But I ended up... Or
at least advocate for you,
That's a great word. Yeah, because, there was nobody to advocate for me. Everybody just got mad at me. Yeah. And didn't understand and thought that I was, doing whatever.
Abusing.
But my body, right. But my body had become addicted.
Of course.
And, finally I said, I've had enough, and the workers' comp had to put me into medical detox for about 12 days. Yeah. And pay for that. But so being on your own is a good thing and can do a lot of things. But like you said, that's a perfect word, Shane, is advocate. Yeah. And who's going to advocate for you? Yeah.
And I mean, even just be there to support you through those moments, That's a story I've not heard. That's a lot to go through and a lot to experience on your own.
It nearly killed me. Nearly killed me. I'm 5'9" and got down to about 132 pounds. And it was, and people didn't understand. I didn't understand. I didn't understand what people's deal was about, and I thought I was just, anyway. So those were a lot of hard years, probably about 6 or 7 of them. Yeah. So pain medicine to this day still scares me.
Sure.
But it's a necessary evil.
Mm-hmm.
If I was not single, I could not have picked up and left Utah. Yeah. In fact, the last guy I was engaged to, he was very religious, and he wanted to marry me, and I said no, because I could not conform to that religion, and within a year I was back here. Yeah. So so good things, I've done so much, and right now I'm doing so many fun and wonderful things that, I don't know, I feel, that's why I'm going to get depressed somehow. Just wait and see, because right now I'm going, the world's good. Tomorrow I'm going to wake up and say, somebody's going to provide suckage, and I'll get stuck in the suck. And
no, we're going to breathe that away. We're going to push that all out of here. No way. Kidding. Let's push that up. But no, I understand what you're saying. That's really cool. And I mean, since you've moved to Peru, just you can see your independence shine through, and that you do have that strong independence. You make decisions on your own, and good ones, exactly.
Yeah.
And like, I've seen you go from when you first moved here to kind of just regaining your footing in the city and in Peru, and to, you know, joining these different groups and meeting new people, and to now running for city council, which is city council at large.
That's
right?
okay.
I keep leaving that part out. I was like, dang it, what is that one phrase? No,
that's okay.
And I think that's so cool. And then just the different things that you're a part of and that you're doing, I think is really cool as well. So,
yeah.
Well,
I've gotten outside of myself, and, you know, with the help of family and, you know, some family, mostly our side of the family.
Yeah.
And great friends, the people here in this beautiful city. I mean, I can't say enough goodness.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful community, and especially with a couple things that have happened recently, everybody pulled in to help us. It's just, if you understand community, you know, there's an elderly lady who, you know, was in an abusive relationship marriage, and she's in a safe location now, but everybody pulled together. People bought beds, and people donated bed frames and everything for this sweetheart.
Yeah.
And so she's found a soft place to land and a safe place to land. And
that's cool.
Where that is, you know, we don't need to talk about.
Yeah.
But this community is just every time I think I figure out this area, there's a new level, a new love, a new deeper part of it. So
yeah. That's really cool. Yeah, and I think it's I read a book, or I listened to a book on my drive down. It's called The Art of Asking.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was interesting. It wasn't as good as I was hoping, but
right.
I can tell you that I say that, and I'm talking about it now, so it clearly has had an impact on me. But it's something that I've continually, like, I challenge myself with, because I am a people pleaser, and I don't want to put people out. I don't want to, like, inconvenience people.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I just avoid asking people for things, just because I don't want them to tell me no, or them to be put out, or, you know, whatever that might be. So it's challenged me in that way of, you know, asking. And when there is a need, just being, you know, asking for those things. I've seen that with different jobs and different things that you know, I've been a part of. And it's amazing what you can accomplish and what can be done when you simply ask. And just because one person might say no, doesn't mean that you stop asking. It means you ask somebody else, and you continue to ask. And if you're relentless in that pursuit, things will happen, and things will continue to, you know, play out and be come together in the way that you want them to. And I think that just simply asking and not taking a no as the final no, and just to continue to ask and to go different directions, I think is really something that I'm trying to implement into my life.
Well, you know, we have to build if you ever want to if you want to increase the level of a relationship or the intimacy of a relationship, you need to let people help. It's kind of like that one Christmas when I couldn't get to celebrate with, or New Year's or something. I couldn't get over to celebrate. You came to my house and sat on the couch, and I was laying down, and you and Dana came over, and we have to ask for help, and that's what two of my best friends did. Is they taught me to ask for help, and they and that's what bottom line, that's what this community has done for me.
Right.
Is they've made me feel lovable and vulnerable, and we have to be confident and vulnerable at the same time. That's quite a dichotomy, but yeah.
Well, and it's funny because I want people to ask me for help,
Right.
But I don't want to ask other people for help. So,
and that's selfish.
Yeah.
In a way.
In a way, you're right. Yeah. It is, and it's really interesting to think, and that's something that I've throughout this moving process I've had to kind of unpack a little bit and try to figure out. And I don't have a lot of answers, but it's something that I've recognized, and it's definitely something that I have to work on.
Yeah. Well, we all do, because that's tough. Asking for help is when you put yourself out there and you're most vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
I don't either.
No, because you're Lancelot.
Yeah.
You got the armor on. And you're on the horse.
Something.
I love you, my friend. My guy, my cousin.
Do you have anything you would like to leave us with? I think we'll wrap things up.
Just go do it.
Yeah.
Just go live life. You've got this one life.
Mm-hmm.
And just everybody go do it. Do a thing. Do a new thing. Something small every day, or try a new food every week. Or you can just go to 7-Elevens or whatever and try a new thing. Dare to eat that damn hot dog,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, just do it. Go do it. Live this life. It's good. It's good stuff. Help somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love one another.
Mm-hmm. So. Thank you. And so on that same vein, I'm going to be doing at least 5 things this next week. That are new. So I'm going to explore, and I'm going to be sharing those experiences. I already got Saturdays planned out, so that's cheating.
Hey,
but
tomorrow night, that's okay. That's a new thing, though.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. That's not cheating at all. Tomorrow night, I'm going to my first Peru high school football game.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, go out and support the local Peru Tigers. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast with me, Kathleen. It's been an honor. It's been a privilege. Don't forget, everybody out there, do good, make a difference, do something extra this week. Be adventurous. Go try something new. Tag CrazyFaceUno if you do. I'm going to be posting my pictures and my experiences as well. And again, thank you so much, Kathleen. I love you so much, and I appreciate you being on a podcast with me.
I love you, Shane.
Love you too. Love you guys. Peace.